It was a beautiful September evening in the Chinatown International District. The Wing Luk Museum had just closed for the day, and a private tour was about to begin when the sounds of shattered glass stunned those inside.
I could tell it was getting louder.
It was very methodical.
It is nothing less than an act of terror.
These 4 employees were inside when surveillance video captured a man walking into Canton Alley with a sledgehammer. Then he started smashing the museum windows, one by one.
Disappointed was what I would say. Most of the reaction was very disappointed, shocking. Like, wow.
Hanif Mueed, the head of security, ran out and confronted the attacker.
People started coming into the alley, some of them yelling also, "Hey man, what are you doing? This is crazy. Why would you do this to the museum?"
Based on what the suspect was yelling, the answer looked like racism.
Rhetoric about how the Chinese had ruined his life and things like that.
All 4 feel it was a deliberate attack, that they were targeted because of their race. And prosecutors agree. Craig Milne, the suspect, is charged with a hate crime.
I left that day feeling really numb.
When you say that you felt numb, can you tell me more about why?
Well, I don't think I really wanted to go home and bring those bad feelings home to my partner.
A new survey by Pew Research Center shows what happened here at Wing Luk is part of a spike in anti-Asian hate crimes across the country. About 1/3 of Asian Americans say they personally know another Asian person who's either been threatened or attacked since the COVID pandemic began. And 74% of Asians born in the U.S. say they've been treated as a foreigner, including being told to go back to their home country.
The harm that this does has a really long tail, and it's very personal. And that sledgehammer started swinging back as far as the Chinese Exclusion Act.
The 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act banned the Chinese from immigrating to the U.S. after Chinese settlers came to the West Coast to work in the booming lumber mills, fishing operations, and railroads. That was threatening to white workers wanting to protect their jobs. Anti-Asian backlash drove Chinese residents out of several big cities, including Seattle. Some people might look at this news story and say, some windows were broken. Nobody was hurt. What's the big deal? Why is this kind of attack feel so personal to you?
We feel the burden of not just one act of hate through 9 broken windows, but over a century of discrimination, of anti-Asian hate that has a long, continuous thread.
And when the violence happens at a place that is such a beloved part of the Asian community, it hurts even more. And describe the significance of an attack on a place like Wing Luk.
It just felt like not only an attack on the building, but a personal attack and an attack on an entire race.
The Wing Luk Museum is a place where history is preserved. It's where people can immerse themselves in the stories of Asian pioneers and walk the halls of a historic building where Chinese families lived in the early 1900s.
You not only go to the museum to see things, but you're seen. A lot of people are seen by our museum.
Out of all the windows that had gotten broken in the museum before, no one had ever touched this before.
Fixing the windows will cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. But repairing the damage to the community, a place so central to Seattle's Asian history, is what psychologist Dr. Sally Chung says is more difficult.
Well, it's a big deal because that tells us that even in our own community, right, the Wing Luk is in the CID, which is predominantly Asian, that even in our own spaces, we're not safe.
And what kind of impact do you think that can have on someone?
It's really scary, right? If you can't be safe in a predominantly Asian area as an Asian person, where are you safe?
But in the midst of violence, you see resilience and strength.
We quickly learned that the community's strength showed up very concretely, not just abstractly in terms of no one was going to mess with us more.
Bonded by a hateful act, this is a reminder that the work in fighting racism isn't over. Neither is the battle to protect the beating heart of the International District.
You can break our windows, but you can't break our resolve to make the world a better place.